When I was young, my father gave me this advice. Rich people buy time. Poor people buy stuff. Ambitious people buy skills. Lazy people buy distraction. I'm saying this because I used to think that there was something wrong with me, when in reality, I just didn't understand what the nature of being exceptional meant. And so I'm saying this purely from a definitional perspective. To be exceptional means that you are the exception. It means that you are not normal. And so it's normal for normal people to find you abnormal if you do things that are not normal. Don't let people who have mediocre goals deter you from taking actions that make you great, because it makes you different. If you want to stay focused, staying focused is not like zeroing in and saying, I'm gonna do it just like I'm gonna just zoom in on this thing. It's more that focus occurs when you remove everything else. What's left is focus. And so Jerry Seinfeld has this famous process that he talks about with writing. And I think writers are also wonderful people for talking to for deep work because it's the nature of the work they do. One of the things that he did, and he has done for years for his stand-up so he can script it out, is that he locks himself in a room that has no windows and it has nothing but a yellow notepad and a pen. And he tells himself that he has to go in that room and he doesn't have to write, but he can't do anything else. And so what ends up happening is that writing occurs as a default. And so focus kind of works the same way. You eliminate everything else to create focus. You don't try and push harder while also having these disruptions. It's always harder, takes longer, and costs more than you think it will. That is a reflection of poor expectations, not that reality is bad. And so it makes sense that it would be harder, take longer, and cost more. Because if it didn't, then everyone would have it. And if everyone had it, then it wouldn't be worthwhile. And so literally the difficulty of the task that you embark on is proportional to the reward that you ultimately get, because you are the asset that you build more than the achievement. And so if it's hard, that's amazing, because it will make you that much harder once you conquer it. And it will also make it harder for anybody else who wants to follow in your footsteps. And so the higher up the mountain you climb, the thinner the air gets, and the rarer the climber or explorer must be in order to get there. And so I don't know about you, but I would so much rather climb a mountain that so few people have been able to climb so that I can see a view that other people haven't seen. And so there's the famous quote, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Success is like watching a marathon, not running a marathon. When you watch a marathon, you look at the beginning and you look at the end. It only takes you a couple of seconds to see both of those. But running a marathon is 4, 5, 6 straight hours of breathing heavy, wondering when it's going to end, counting, starting to play games in your mind of like, okay, I'm 2/3 of the way there. I'm two more quarters of that. I'm only 1/5 of 1/8 of the way there. And you keep doing this to play tricks on your mind to keep going. But the thing is that in a mile marker race, it's very clear to know how you're going to get to the finish line and how long it's going to take. The only difference with success is that you just have to keep running and you don't know where the finish line is. And people will only cheer you on at that finish line that they don't know where it is either, which means you have to get used to running alone. And so the difficulty is you have to start running and you have to keep running, but you just don't know whether you're running for a mile or 300. Here's a harsh truth. You're young. You've got time. False. All that lie does is extend how long it takes people to realize tomorrow isn't guaranteed, nothing is going to be easy, get over it. It takes time to get good, and the sooner you start, the sooner you act. And the sooner you act, the sooner you get. And don't stop until you do. And as harsh as that sounds, I do have good news. It only takes 20 hours of focused effort to get decent at anything. The problem is, people wait years before they start their first hour. 20 hours is not that long. If you're like, man, I really want to learn ads. I really want to learn how to make content. I really want to learn how to edit videos. I really want to learn how to sell. You can do that now, and you can have that skill. There's this massive delay that people think because of the unknown. They don't know what is going to happen, and so they therefore assume that it's bad. And so the reality is that most people don't like surprises, even if they're good ones. Why would I hate a good surprise? You hate it because there's a possibility that the surprise is negative. But on a long time horizon, you know 85-year-old you isn't even going to remember it to begin with. The good news is that once you do succeed, that terrible period or whatever the difficulty is that you're going through, it'll actually compress in your mind. And so as difficult as it may seem in the moment, it actually doesn't stay with you. All you'll have left is the thing you accomplished. You won't remember the work that it took to get there. There'll be a significant discount on the punishment you endured. I tend to have a bad habit of really not looking back very much. And so I occasionally will go through my photos and I am reminded about all of the mistakes and the detours that I took along the way to where I wanted to go. If you want to beat someone, just try 10 times harder than them. And you only really need to try 2 or 3 times harder, but you probably don't realize how much harder they're trying than you are. So try 10 times harder just to make sure you win. And so for you to say that someone can't produce 10 times more than you is just factually false. There's tons of people who produce 10 times more. There's tons of people who produce 100 times more than you. You'd be amazed at how much better you get after you've done it 100 times. If you want to win, do it again. I've always been willing to bet big on me because you'll never sell you. You're a long-term hold, right? And so if you get better, you guarantee the win. And every investment you make compounds. You guarantee compounding because every skill stacks on top of other skills. Steve Jobs talked about how when he went to college and learned calligraphy, it was the reason that fonts showed up in the Mac later. And so he talks about you can only connect the dots looking back. You want to double down on investing more into you getting skills. And I'll tell you something that you probably don't know. So I spent $10,000 and I only had 50 saved up after years of being a consultant. So I had $50,000 saved up. I was 23 years old. It was my life savings. I spent $10,000 to get a gym coach. I joined a mastermind for gym owners. Fun fact though, I didn't have a gym, but I figured if I go to a mastermind of gym owners, I'm gonna learn so many of the things that they made mistakes on when they started their gym. They're gonna have opinions on how I should lay out the square footage, what locations I should pick, what model I should use. And so rather than say, oh, I'm just gonna find out all these failures on my own and take 5 times as long, I was like, I'd rather pay $10,000 to pull 5 years forward into the present. The wealthy accept the world for what it is and then choose to maximize and adapt. Everyone else tries to stomp their feet and throw tantrums and say how it's not fair. And they're right, and so what? There's a Haitian proverb that has nothing to do with cats and dogs that I think is relevant right now, which is, behind mountains are more mountains. Goals aren't finish lines, they're mile markers. One of the things that has been true in my life is that the lazy don't know how to start, the losers don't know how to finish, and the legends don't know how to stop. And if I look at that, the lazy, the losers, the legends, I know which one I would rather be.